Now, this is the Fox 11 News at 10.
Good evening. Welcome to Fox 7 News at 10. I'm Alex Michelson.
And I'm Christine Devine.
New at 10 and only on Fox 11, a suspected rapist has been arrested in a remote area of Azusa Canyon. Fox 11's Chelsea Edwards is there live. Chelsea.
Alex, sources say this was a dramatic rescue in a very remote area of the San Gabriel Mountains. They say that sheriff's deputies were able to save that woman who was being sexually assaulted inside a van, which sources describe as a rape dungeon on wheels. Take a look at some of this video. We have a map to show you just how far this was. We're in Azusa, where Highway 39 starts winding through the San Gabriel Mountains. And LA County sheriff's officials say it happened about 6 miles north of where we are right now, near mile marker 21. Sources tell us the alleged serial rapist had taken his 26-year-old victim to a dark turnout just off the highway. And sheriff's officials say deputies arrested that suspect around 11:30 last night. Now, there is absolutely no cell service up there. Again, it is very remote. We're still waiting on details on exactly how all of this went down, but officials confirm this case is now being handled by the Special Victims Bureau. And again, sources say they do believe that this suspect has more victims. This is a developing story. We're getting a lot more details. We'll give you updates as we get them. For now, that's it from Azusa. I'm Chelsea Edwards. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Chelsea Edwards, so far away, there's a bit of a delay in communicating with her. Thank you so much. New at 10, two suspects, armed and dangerous, rob their victims of passports and phones before making their escape in a black Tesla. Fox 11's Gina Silva live in Canoga Park tonight. Gina.
Well, Alex, those suspects are still on the run. And I have to tell you, there are so many unanswered questions in the story, including why the victims were taken into custody.
I just heard a lady scream, so I just went outside and called 911.
The screams were coming from this second floor window of the Windsor Park townhomes in the 20,700 block of Roscoe Boulevard in Canoga Park.
She was outside the window. She was sticking outside of the window, like I thought like she was jumping out of the balcony.
The woman seen here with duct tape still stuck in her hair had just been through a terrifying robbery. Her next door neighbor, who asked us not to give out his name, went inside the woman's home. These two men were also inside, tied up with zip ties.
They were shaken up. They were scared. I mean, I would too. I mean, if you know, they had the guns.
The robbers struck on Monday night around 9 p.m. and did not leave the townhouse until Tuesday, close to 2 p.m. Neighbors couldn't believe it happened in their community.
They look very hurt, and, it's just shocking. Scary. We just bought here recently, so this is the first time anything like this has ever happened. I've never seen anything like this. It's just shocking.
LAPD officers spent hours collecting evidence inside the townhome. They brought out trash bags and this plastic storage container with suspicious white powder. Minutes later, the victims of the robbery were taken into custody in handcuffs, leaving everyone in the neighborhood confused.
I mean, I cannot even tell you that we have neighbors that we don't know what they're doing inside the house. And I have no clue what to even say. I'm kind of speechless right now.
And that man you just heard from says that when he walked into that townhome to help the victims, there was white powder all over the floor, but he didn't know what to make of it because he was just there to help them. Now, again, the armed robbers, they are still outstanding. They left in a black Tesla. If you know anything about this case, contact the LAPD. Alex, Christine, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Some questions there still, Gina. All right, thank you so much. New at 10 in Haripa Valley, a Riverside County Sheriff's deputy was shot at. Luckily, the deputy was not hurt. Happened at the intersection of Pat's Ranch Road and 68th Street. No word on why the suspect shot at the deputy. The deputy did not shoot back. Tonight, that suspect is still out there. Law enforcement continues to investigate. The public is being advised to steer clear of the area.
Los Angeles Sheriff's homicide detectives now say a missing 3-week-old baby is presumed dead. Family members say they haven't seen Baki DeWeese in over 10 days. Investigators searched a landfill in Palmdale earlier today but found nothing. The baby's father and mother have been arrested in Utah on unrelated charges.
There's growing concern tonight about the danger on LA's trains, subways, and buses after yet another stabbing and more violence. Fox 11's Ed Lascos live in Glendale with the latest in the series of crime on the Metro. Ed.
And Christine, we are learning more now about one of these violent attacks that goes down in less than 24 hours. It ends here on this sidewalk, but it actually starts on board a Metro bus. Witnesses say 3 teenagers start harassing an elderly woman. Then they target a man in his 20s. He's riding the bus home from work. He winds up being stabbed several times, and now his mother is speaking out, urging Metro to as she says, do something already. Watch.
We're scared for our lives now. I ride the bus myself, and when I'm inside, I'm like wondering who's gonna attack me, who's gonna come at me with a knife. And that was before this happened to my son.
It did happen to her 26-year-old son Monday night, the latest in a series of violent attacks on Metro.
He started jumping my son from the back, from the sides. He gets pretty much beat up by these 3 guys. They're young kids.
15, 16 years old, she says, 3 of them. The violent attack then moves off the Metro bus. As the attackers steal the victim's backpack, he runs after them on this sidewalk here off Central Ave.
He gets beat up again, and this time they pull a knife or something that ended up, they end up stabbing my son 6 times and kicking him in the head everywhere.
This just the first of 3 violent Metro attacks to strike in less than 24 hours. The second attack goes down here also Monday night. A woman stabbed at this Metro Green Line station on South Vermont Ave and the 105 freeway. She's rushed to the ER. Her attacker runs off. And then just this afternoon, another arrest after yet more violence. This time a passenger on board this Metro bus assaulted and robbed here off Ventura and Encino.
It's almost disbelief. How can things be going in this direction?
A Metro board member reacting to the violent crime wave, doubling down on a promise for more safety.
And that means increased patrols. That means increased ambassadors. That means considering our own police force that we can place in the particular hotspots.
The Metro violence even brings a statement from Mayor Karen Bass's office, calling it, quote, absolutely unacceptable. The statement goes on saying Mayor Bass is working with other Metro board members to take decisive action to make Metro safer for riders, operators, and community members.
And we deserve, to live in peace, not to be in fear.
Until that happens, the mother of one of the latest victims, too scared to even show her own face or let you hear her own voice, still cries out for safety.
Just going to create more fear, and it's creating fear, and we need to stop. We need to do something about it.
Now live, add to that the hundreds of Metro bus drivers who staged a sick-out last week, concerned for their own safety after several are attacked. As for her 26-year-old son, he's home from the hospital, but he's hurting. She says his one eye barely open from the beating, not to mention all the stab wounds on his arms, his legs. As she said, he's lucky to still be alive. For now, we are live. Glendale, back to the west side we go.
All right, Ed, thank you so much. After some tough crime stories to start us off, let's talk about something a little bit better, the weather.
Yeah.
Jonathan Novak, pretty nice outside.
Yeah, it was a pretty good day today. We had some sun, and we're getting less and less here the last, today and tomorrow. You'll see even less tomorrow. This was nevertheless, a nice time lapse from our LAX camera, because look at the sunset as those low clouds returned. And for a brief period of time, we did have some sun at the coast, but you can see here, yeah, it is one of those nights once again. In fact, we'll have some drizzle, it looks like, in the morning. Both at the coast and through the LA basin, and maybe even as far inland as the Inland Empire and the foothills there. Today's highs were the same as yesterday's, as expected, below average temperatures. We were at 70 degrees in downtown. It was cooler in the valleys and the Inland Empire. Tonight at the coast in Santa Monica, you see also sucked in as those low clouds, that marine layer really has come back in this evening. 61, good evening, Camarillo. 61 degrees for you, 60 in San Bernardino. Palm Springs checking in at 80 degrees. Today you were at 99. Also cooler than yesterday when you were at 101 in Palm Springs. And there are the clouds right now. And you can see here on the infrared satellite, the clouds back in play tonight. So with that in mind, here's your day planner for tomorrow. Some drizzle in the morning possible in the downtown area, as well as the coastal communities. 70 for a high in downtown, as well as in the mountains where there's a slight chance of afternoon rain. I will detail those high temperatures and see where they go for the rest of the week coming up in the 7-day outlook a little later on. Back to you.
All right, we'll see you then. Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter back in court today. We'll take you there at 10:30.
Former Trump attorney Michael Cohen was back on the stand testifying against his former boss. What happened during cross-examination?
And Waymo now under investigation by federal safety regulators after their autonomous vehicles are involved in crashes. Marla Tejas breaks that down when we come back.
New details tonight about this fiery crash on the 710 freeway in Long Beach. We are now learning that a 15-year-old driver was killed. 3 other teens as young as 13 were injured. CHP says they were tracking a stolen Kia when the teen driver made an unsafe turn and slammed into the big rig and caught fire. Officers pulled all 4 teens from the car. The driver died at the hospital. The big rig driver was also injured.
Big political story of the night. Michael Cohen, of course, once a loyal aide to Donald Trump, testifying against him again today in New York. Cohen focused on his guilty plea to federal charges related to a payment he made to Stormy Daniels and other crimes. His testimony detailing mislabeled checks that implicated Trump. However, Trump's defense attorney tried to paint Cohen as vengeful by pointing out his repeated negative social media posts about Trump. Outside the courtroom, a series of top Republican politicians lining up to defend Trump, who again is under a gag order and isn't allowed to talk publicly. I asked former Biden press secretary Jen Psaki about that in our studio earlier.
They are going out there and basically attacking the judge, the jury, the judge's daughter, the prosecutor. Trump can't do that, Michael Cohen. He can't do that. It would violate the gag order. So they're doing his dirty work for him. So in that sense, it's helpful to him. Their audience for their communication is Trump, which tells you how much he owns the Republican Party.
We also discussed this map, which shows the recent Real Clear Politics average of polls. According to a series of recent polls in swing states, Donald Trump would win the presidential contest against Joe Biden if it was held today.
But for Democrats out there who think like Donald Trump is sitting in a courtroom, he might be convicted. We'll see. It's up to the jury. This is over. It's not. This is going to be a very close election. There are some warning signs in there. I don't think the Biden campaign is unaware of them, but for people who thought this would be easy, it's not.
Our full interview with Jen Psaki Friday at 10:30 on our statewide political show, The Issue Is.
And now she's kind of sitting in our seat, sort of.
Right. She's working for MSNBC, hosting her own show. We talked about that, the transition to that. And one of her big headlining guests was Governor Newsom. We talked about that and his future as well. Really interesting conversation.
Should be a good one. All right. Federal safety regulators have opened an investigation into Waymo robo-taxis. The self-driving vehicles have been in a number of collisions and have been caught breaking traffic laws. Fox 11's Marla Tejas here with details. Marla?
Christine, could this lead to a recall of the Waymo fleet? The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says it is investigating Waymo's automated driving system to try to get to the bottom of what's causing crashes that are now heightening concerns.
The problem is that the autonomy right now, the sensors and the algorithms are just not perfect. Now, can you compare how much more perfect are they relative to a human? We don't know that.
Dr. Lily Elefthiyado is a civil engineer who studies autonomous vehicles. She joined me at 6 o'clock to discuss this new federal probe. The investigation comes after at least 22 reports of Waymo autonomous vehicles either being involved in a collision or violating a traffic law, including driving on the wrong side of the road. Just yesterday, this happened on the 10 freeway in LA. A Waymo going 35 miles per hour was rear-ended by another car going 86 miles per hour. Now, both speeds are unsafe on the freeway, and now officials are wondering why that Waymo technology allowed its vehicle to drive so slowly on the interstate. About the investigation and its implications, I asked, could this lead to an all-out recall?
I don't think so. I think we have a lot of work to do to understand and be able to really get to the bottom of, is it the sensors, is it the algorithms, was it the human error? There's really a lot more questions than answers right now.
So to put this into perspective, she says the U.S. has more than 2 million crashes on the roadways each year with more than 40,000 annual fatalities. Of those, more than 90% are attributed to human error. The promise of autonomous vehicles is that they can reduce or eliminate that human error. It's just too early to tell, though, if they can in fact deliver on that promise. Waymo, by the way, is fully cooperating with this federal investigation.
And about that investigation, they're saying what?
So they put out a statement that basically says that they're proud of their performance. They say that they do about 50,000 weekly trips and that their record proves that they've done tens of millions of autonomous miles, driven those miles safely.
And that expert says she still would ride a Waymo, right?
Yeah, she said she still would, and she encourages people to try. I have not yet. I have not. I know you have.
I did it, yeah, in Arizona when they had it early on, and it's a fascinating experience.
Yeah. I need to try it.
I would do it.
I'm willing to try it.
All right, Marla, thank you so much. Coming up, some critics already saying this year's MTV Movie and TV Awards just might be the best ever. We'll explain why straight ahead.
And original South Korean psychological thriller series Pyramid Game is coming to streaming. Details on that and more next in Entertainment.
Fox 11 Entertainment is sponsored by Yamava Resort and Casino.
The MTV Movie and TV Awards have both been canceled this year. There will be no MTV and TV Awards. The awards show, celebrating the best in pop culture, has been a yearly staple since its inception in 1992. Remember when this was such a huge deal? But last year, the event was forced to pivot to a pre-taped show due to the Hollywood writers' strike. A spokesperson says the show will return with a, quote, reimagined format in 2025. Richard Gere is set to return to the big screen in a new thriller.
He's joined by Diane Kruger.
Hey, Rachel, you look great. It's been, 20 years? We really had some pretty wonderful times.
After we split up, I found out I was pregnant. And I gave birth.
The movie's based on an award-winning international film. The mystery unfolds as he tries to understand the truth when nothing is what it seems. Longing hits select theaters on June 7th.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, welcome.
Is this society? Is this way we're living?
We're getting an extended glimpse of Francis Ford Coppola's new epic film, Megalopolis. The Oscar-winning director shared the scene featuring Adam Driver this morning on Instagram. He dedicated it to his late wife, Eleanor, whose birthday was yesterday. Megalopolis will debut at Cannes later this month.
진짜 조금만 참아. 네 잘못이 아니야. 왜 이딴 게임을 하는 걸까? 처음부터 이상했는데.
Paramount Plus has released the official trailer for the South Korean psychological thriller series Pyramid Game. All 10 episodes will premiere May 30th on Paramount Plus.
Hey, Queenie, where you been? I ain't seen you for a long time.
Because she's been with her boyfriend. If you two had children, they will be the colour of milky coffee, but they will be half caste.
Hopefully you'll be dead and gone long before you even get to meet it.
Oh.
Best-selling novel about a 25-year-old having a quarter-life crisis is coming to Hulu. Queenie follows a Jamaican Brit living in South London as she navigates a messy breakup and begins a journey of self-discovery to rebuild her life. Queenie premieres on Hulu June 7th.
We want you to be our Glinda the Good.
Oh my God, thank you. I love her so much. I'm going to take such good care of her. Thank you so much.
The world needs to see more of you. We would love for you to be our Elphaba.
Wow, the film Wicked, not out yet, but the director just releasing a behind-the-scenes look at making it. We got to see those sweet moments when the actresses and singers Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo found out they landed the lead roles of Glinda and Elphaba. Both were, as you saw, emotional. Not only that, we get peeks at both of their auditions as well. Adaptation of Wicked is set to be released in 2 parts. Part 1 hits theaters November 27th. Part 2 will be released an entire year later in 2025. Wow, look at that. Here's a look now at the upcoming shows at Yamava.
A court appearance for Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter. We'll tell you what happened there straight ahead.
You're watching the Fox 11 News at 10.
Former interpreter of Dodgers star Shohei Ohtani leaving an LA federal courtroom after pleading not guilty to bank and tax fraud charges.
Today's arraignment seen as a procedural step to an expected plea deal for Ippei Mitsuhara. Fox 11's Haley Winslow reports from outside the courthouse.
He was baseball great Shohei Ohtani's trusted right-hand man for 6 years, now revealed, according to federal prosecutors, as a fraud.
You can imagine if you have a really close friend, close confidant, and you find out for years they have been betraying you, they're in fact traitors, that can impact you in many ways beyond the financial impact.
As expected, Ippei Mizuhara, Ohtani's former interpreter, also essentially his manager, procedurally pleads not guilty to bank fraud and tax offenses, charges that carry a max prison punishment of 33 years. Sketch artist Mona Schaefer Edwards, one of less than 10 people allowed in the federal courtroom, captures Mizuhara's mood during the arraignment.
Just respectful and quiet and sort of closed in on himself a bit. He didn't have any kind of arm gestures, hand gestures. Very, very quiet. Hands were clasped in front of him.
Similar behavior when he tries to leave court in a swarm.
Are you scared of going to jail?
Despite Tuesday's plea, once district court takes over the case in the next couple weeks, he's expected to plead guilty as promised in his signed agreement. U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada says Mizuhara doesn't really have a way out. Federal investigators say he stole $17 million from Ohtani's bank account to pay off gambling debts.
The 19,000 bets, the recordings where he had impersonated Mr. Ohtani, between Mr. Mitsuhara and the bookie in this case, only after being presented with that mountain of evidence did Mr. Mitsuhara ultimately decide it was in his interest to plead guilty.
Showtime for Mizuhara, allowing Ohtani to focus on doing what he does best, helping the Dodgers win another World Series.
This was an important case because we had a victim who was out there in the public getting some comments that were very negative, getting accused of things that were not accurate. Shohei Ohtani was not a perpetrator, but a victim of this fraud.
At the federal courthouse in downtown LA, Haley Winslow, Fox 11 News.
While city officials say Burbank's Empire Center is one of the area's busiest shopping areas, tonight they're looking at ways to deal with a dramatic increase in crime. Burbank police say that about half of all these cities' retail theft crime occurs right here, which might not be surprising when you realize how big this place is. But the increase, 118% in retail theft between 2022 and 2023, that is concerning. Even if not surprising to many shoppers. Stores like Walmart, Target, Nordstrom Rack, Sephora, and Ulta getting hit.
A lot of more crime in the country at the moment, right?
Oh, I'm always careful. I'm always careful.
Do you feel unsafe coming here, though?
I don't, because I grew up from here.
I don't feel safe here, and I've lived here my whole life.
It does alarm me. Burbank is supposed to be a very safe community.
Plans are in place to address the crime. A lot more police cars visible in the parking lot, along with recently installed cameras outside Lowe's. Burbank police say they've been working with retailers, and there's been talk about putting a substation like the one at the Glendale Galleria. We did reach out to the center's management company, but have not yet heard back.
One of the closest congressional races of the year could be in California's 41st district, which includes parts of the Inland Empire. It is a rematch of Republican Congressman Ken Calvert and Democratic challenger Will Rollins. A big and somewhat surprising endorsement for Rollins today from the Palm Springs Police Officers Association. What makes this notable is that during the 2022 election, that same association backed Calvert over Rollins. Rollins is a former federal prosecutor.
As a federal prosecutor, Will has had an accomplished career in law enforcement, and Will shares our perspective for the leading role police officers take on every day in protecting communities, businesses, homes, and people.
It is a lot more fun to help law enforcement catch bad guys than it is to campaign, but because they stand for everything that I believe in.
Crime issues have emerged as a key in this battleground district that's being watched around the country. Let's talk weather now, and a hot one there in Palm Springs today, Jonathan Novak.
99. You know, it was 103 there a couple of days ago, 101 yesterday, and you'll be back in the triple digits soon enough in Palm Springs. And tonight at the coast, a different story, obviously, but the clouds, not just at the airport. Let me show you a time lapse. This is a really cool time lapse. Our Mount Wilson camera, a little Mount Wilson soup forming there at the end of the day as the sun is set. Now the marine layer back in the inland spots. In fact, Ontario, partly to mostly cloudy skies through the Inland Empire already tonight. And so as you wake up tomorrow, don't be surprised if there's a little drizzle, not just at the coast, but some drizzle possible in downtown and inland as well. So that's on tap for tomorrow for your Wednesday. As far as Tuesday went, it was 78 in Pasadena, Palmdale at 89, and 99 in Palm Springs. Redondo Beach at 69. Not a big change at the coast, but the inland spots were cooler as this onshore flow has kicked in a little stronger today and will be even stronger tomorrow. 61 in Pasadena, good evening to you. 56 in both Simi Valley and Burbank this evening. And 56 also in Oxnard. A little cool in some of those spots, but you know what? Only about a degree cooler than it was this time last night. We're in this pattern day to day. It's kind of the same as we go in through the next several days. There's very minor changes in terms of those temperatures and the sky conditions. And you can see the satellite picture here showing those clouds surging back at the end of the day. And so, that's the pattern we've been in. And we're going to stay that way, at least as far as what you can expect the next several afternoons. And why? Well, this is a trough of low pressure right here that is budging to the east over our area. High pressure to the west of that we're hoping for, but doesn't look like it's going to bring much in the way of any changes, except let me just show you this on Wednesday. If anything, the mountains and the high desert might see a little shower activity tomorrow. We saw some trying to form today. Didn't really happen, but this is at 4:30 p.m. and notice a few showers in the high desert and the mountain spots. That's the only sort of fly in the ointment, if you will, as we go into the afternoon tomorrow. Otherwise, it should stay partly to mostly cloudy and temperatures in the mid-70s in the valleys and the IE. Temperatures in downtown will try to get to 70 degrees. I have you right there at the 70-degree mark for the next 2 afternoons and a little drizzle in the morning time. We head into the weekend and the numbers will fall just a little bit and we'll bring some more drizzle back on Sunday and then keep it dry heading into Tuesday next week. So all in all, not a bad forecast, just the morning time's a little drizzly and a couple of showers possible in the higher elevations tomorrow, and then the temperatures staying right about a couple of degrees below average for the whole 7 days. That's your forecast, everybody. We'll see you at 11 o'clock. Back to you.
Super Puffs may sound like a cereal. It's actually named for a rare class of exoplanets, unlike anything in our solar system, because the planets have the density of cotton candy. The super puffy planet is bigger than Jupiter, surprisingly as fluffy and light as cotton candy. Experts say that's because it's made mostly of light gases rather than solids. The planet was confirmed last year. The gas planet is some 1,200 light years away. A light year is more than 5 trillion miles. That's really
far. Yeah. Some heart-pounding video. Daredevils in wingsuits fly through London. We'll show you more after Kyle Kraska and sports.
And hi again, folks. Coming up in sports, the Dodgers looking to make it 2 straight tonight against their rivals, the San Francisco Giants. We've got highlights from the Bay on the way. Plus, Caitlin Clark made her WNBA debut tonight. We're going to show you how she did in her first regular season game. But first, as always, our poll question of the night. We want to know from you who's been the biggest surprise for the Dodgers this season, good or bad. Gavin Stone's been real good, was again tonight. Andy Pages has been sensational. Teoscar Hernandez leading the team in runs batted in. James Paxton is 5-0. And James Outman surprisingly unproductive at the plate so far, following on his very good rookie year. All right, you can weigh in on the voting. Go to foxla.com/vote right now, and we'll give you the results and sports right after this.
I'm Candace Parker, Kelsey Plum, Skylar Diggins-Smith, Dejanay Carrington, Cameron Brink. If I had to describe myself in one word on the court, it would be menace.
When you're on the court, nothing else matters.
Me on the court is fire.
I'm just ready to go to work.
I want my legacy to be that I left the game in a better place.
You might recall Kim Kardashian had announced her company Skims as the official underwear sponsor of the WNBA. Well, right there, the first ad campaign features 5 of the league's biggest stars recently retired and one of the greatest players ever, former LA Sparks phenom Candace Parker, second overall draft pick out of Stanford Cameron Brink, San Diego-born Dejanay Carrington, and back-to-back WNBA champ Kelsey Plum, and 6-time WNBA All-Star Skylar Diggins-Smith.
Fox 11 Sports Desk is sponsored by Sweet James Accident Attorneys.
Shohei Ohtani showing he is worth every penny of that $700 million he signed for with the Dodgers. Entered tonight's game among the league leaders in batting average, hits, and home runs, and he kept it rolling tonight against the Giants. Fourth inning here, Shohei absolutely clobbers this pitch. That's 446 feet, his 12th of the season. Gives the Dodgers a 1-0 lead. Shohei 3 for 5, finished a triple shy of the cycle. Later, same inning, LA up 3-0 now. Gavin Lux at the dish. He sends one into the gap. Teoscar Hernandez scores to make it a 4-0 Dodger lead. And that would be plenty of support for Gavin Stone. What a couple of games he has put together. This his fourth quality start in a row, allowing just 1 run over 6 innings. He struck out 2. Gavin stones him again. And the Dodgers go on to win 10-2.
Yeah, moving the fastballs around, mixing it up, change of pace. Like always, Mark and them lay out a pretty good game plan, and so it's pretty easy to follow, and just trust in Will back there. He does a great job, so.
Meanwhile, on the flip side, Angels losers of 4 of their last 5, taking on the St. Louis Cardinals, down 5-1 here in the 4th. Angels showing some life. Logan O'Hoppe with a 3-run home run, and the Halos now down just 1. They would tie it on a sac fly, but in the 7th, Alec Burleson homers off Amir Garrett. That is the first long ball Garrett has given up as an Angel, but it is the difference. The Halos lose their 3rd in a row, 7-6, the final score. Well, a couple of pivotal Game 5 tonight in the NBA. Both the Knicks and the Pacers, and the Wolves and Nuggets series tied at 2 games apiece. We will begin with the defending champs at home in Denver taking on Minnesota. Before the game, Nikola Jokic given his 3rd MVP award in the last 4 years. Second quarter, the Joker running the offense finds a cutting Aaron Gordon for the baseline slam. Then moments later, in transition, Jokic dishes to Christian Braun for the 2-hand slam. Nuggets now up by 4. Second half now, Jokic spins, takes it strong to the basket, plus give him the foul. He was doing it all. 16 points in the 3rd. Nuggets up 11 at that point. The T-Wolves had no answer. 4th quarter now, look at this. Come on, that's just unfair. Buries the 3 over Rudy Gobert. Jokic finished with 40 and 13 assists, 0 turnovers. Denver wins 112-97. They lead the series 3-2 and can advance to the Western Conference Finals with a win Thursday in Minnesota. Meanwhile, earlier, the Knicks back at the Garden hosting the Pacers and looking to bounce back after dropping 2 straight at Indianapolis. Jalen Brunson was a force tonight. 3rd quarter off the miss here. Josh Hart finds Brunson for the pull-up 3 on the wing. It's good, and look who's in the house. Well, a lot of folks were. Carmelo Anthony, one of them, loving it. Knicks up 16. Later, Brunson misses on the 3, but Dante DiVincenzo there for the putback slam. Then, going the other way, Miles Turner setting a hard screen on DiVincenzo, and as you would expect, things get a little chippy. Both were teed up, but the night belonged to Brunson. Finished with 44. The Knicks win by 30, and they could advance to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 24 years with a win in the Hoosier State on Friday night. Meanwhile, in the Windy City, Bronny James making his case for an NBA roster spot this week at the annual Combine ahead of the NBA draft. James coming out after 1 season at USC. And, of course, we all know about the heart attack that kept him off the floor for a few months. As for why he feels he's ready now, he offered some reasons.
Just flexibility, given a chance. And just, everyone believing in me and stuff like that. Even, not that everyone at USC didn't, but just an open opportunity to showcase.
All right, good luck. Meanwhile, the WNBA tipped off its season tonight with the overall #1 pick, Caitlin Clark, making her much-anticipated debut with the Indiana Fever, and they visited the Connecticut Sun tonight, and Caitlin Clark wasting no time making an impact on the game. Didn't score until the second quarter, but first possession of the game, Clark feeding Aaliyah Boston for the lay-in down low. That's Clark's first WNBA assist. Fever up by 2 early. And in the second, Clark with the steal, takes it the other way, finishes with the layup. Clark's first career WNBA points. She finished with 20, but the Fever were down 9, and in the second half, Connecticut turned it into a rout. DeWanna Bonner gets the jumper there to fall, plus the foul. That put the Sun up 15, and the Sun go on to spoil Clark's debut, 92-71. As for the Sparks, they will open up their season tomorrow against the Atlanta Dream, and for the first time in team history, they will not be led by Nneka Ogwumike, Candace Parker, or Lisa Leslie. Instead, they have fresh faces, including a pair of rookies taking in the top 4 picks in the WNBA draft, Cameron Brink and Rickea Jackson. Best of luck to them. All right, we'll wrap it up with our poll question of the night. We asked you this earlier. Who do you think is the biggest surprise so far for the Dodgers this season? Gavin Stone, Andy Pages, Teoscar Hernandez, James Paxton, or James Outman? Close race there, but Gavin Stone on top of the list, and I tend to agree. I mentioned earlier 4 consecutive quality starts for Gavin Stone, and all of those starts he has allowed just 1 run or less, guys.
They're loaded this year. Kyle, thank you.
Sure.
All right. It is a season of honoring mothers and fathers. On that note, perhaps inspiration to know your family's story. I sit down to talk the 1960s and the Peace Corps days.
And also coming up on Good Night LA, Kelly Clarkson's significant weight loss has been the topic of many conversations. You see the difference here. Tonight, one expert weighs in on the new trend of using drugs to drop pounds. That's at 11. But first, here's a look at our upcoming sports calendar.
If you've been hurt in an accident and you need results, call Sweet James. Here are just some of the recent wins for our injured clients. Call the firm that wins big. Call Sweet James.
Well, 2 skydivers in wingsuits soar through London's iconic Tower Bridge. Look at this. They're going more than 150 miles per hour. The pair says they did training about 200 times, 200 training jumps to get ready for the stunt. They've been practicing for 2 years. The Austrians leapt from a helicopter west of the Tower Bridge to get ready for this. I mean, that looks like something out of a movie. They really pulled it off. Good for them. Amazing.
In a season of Mother's Day and Father's Day coming up, a personal journey that will hopefully serve as an inspiration to know your family's story. For those no longer with us, their stories can come to life through those who knew them. Is this you?
Yeah.
Mary Durso taking me back in time.
We were early on.
Early on in the Peace Corps, 1963. They named your class what?
Bra 4.
It was an all-girls group of Americans sent to Brazil.
I was assigned to a children's hospital.
Mary would marry a Brazilian, Gilberto Durso.
I used to be a climber and have a little climbing club.
The Dursos settled in La Crescenta decades ago. Hi, Gilberto! I was here seeking memories of my mom.
Here's your mother.
My mother, Karen Lee Seifert, was 24 when she joined the Peace Corps from snowy upstate New York.
We had this gorgeous view of Rio. We were up in the hills.
The hills are home to the favelas, home to Rio's poorest. Mom, in writing, spoke of showing movies in the favela.
And the first movie would be a health movie.
Hygiene and health.
Hygiene and things, brush your teeth, wash your hands. And then they got to see a Bangy Bangy. Now, a Bangy Bangy
It's a cowboy movie.
was a cowboy movie.
An American movie?
Yeah, so they became known by the whole favela.
I have Mom's booklet from the last Bra 4 reunion. It was there that Mom felt ill, left early, and was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. But those fabulous photos, they were taken by Peace Corps volunteer Sally Foster of Maryland.
I've always been a photographer.
This one of my mom, it went global in print publications.
Did you know it was going to be on a Peace Corps cover?
It was not only on the magazine, it was also on a whole bunch of pamphlets.
But it's Sally's story of my mom's work that warms my heart.
You go in where Karen's working and say, "Where's Katya?" All the little faces light up and they wonder, she's over here, she's over here.
And ask Susan Johnston of Georgia what joining the Peace Corps meant for women in the 1960s.
I wanted to prove that I could do something without my family's support and do something different.
Meet Nancy Kuhn of Michigan.
My Portuguese was not very good.
Serve in the Peace Corps.
Still, she felt that calling from President John F. Kennedy.
President Kennedy, when he said you could do something for your country, and I thought, well, why not?
Through those who knew her when, that I learned more about my late mother and when their 2-year time in the Peace Corps mattered.
This guy has this parasite and that parasite, and they were all sick. This is a young boy who had had surgery. You could see his stitches there, and he was so cute. They adored us. They were wonderful, these kids.
There were 20 women in the Rio all-female team. Sadly, while Bravo was in Brazil, they would learn of Kennedy's assassination in Texas.
Wow. What'd that feel like for you to do that?
It was kind of healing to ask a lot of questions, and I would challenge you to ask those questions of your parents while they're still here.
Yeah, beautiful.
Take time to know their life story. It's important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, great job. Coming up, this might not be quite as poignant, but it is cute. A zoo goes viral over their baby pandas. Weirdly, the zoo never had pandas. We'll explain the canine connection straight ahead.
Zoo in China is getting a lot of attention over this. Turned out many thought were baby pandas. They're dogs, chow chows, who'd had their hair groomed and dyed to appear to be panda cubs. Zoo admitting their trick after these videos went viral, saying they did it because they didn't have a panda exhibit. But the ethics of it, that's my question. Okay.
They're cute, though. The younger generation say older people need to step up their sock game. According to Gen Zers on TikTok, you can tell someone's age by the socks they're wearing at the gym. They call it a millennial giveaway. Gen Z wears crew socks. Millennials and everyone else wears ankle socks. Some commentators said they would retire their ankle socks to keep up with the times.
The crew socks always slide.
Yeah, I like the ankle socks.
Yeah. What does that say?
Yeah.
That's it for us at 10 o'clock.
Have a good night. Marla Tejas is here now with Good Night, LA.